the next topic was APIs. We were talking, Arvind and I, we were talking about APIs. So this might be a bit boring for you, Arvind. Sorry. I just want to record this for the others as well. One thing that we were running into in the AWS course, for instance, I showed how you can set up your APIs within the AWS API gateway and actually define the methods and everything. Now, we were working on GCP actually, and on GCP it's a bit different, but it's also quite cool. I like this solution as well. Within GCP, when you use this and you want to create a gateway where you create your URLs and your methods and everything, this actually requires you an API spec that is based on the OpenAPI specification. So that you basically define your API with what are the URLs, which methods do I use, which data types and parameters am I expecting, and so on. That is all, you have to define this in OpenAPI. So basically, let me quickly go to our last meeting. Where was that here? Where we're talking about here, you have your basically your frame of the API, and then you have your logic behind it. That's the same thing where we're creating the frame of the API here within GCP with this OpenAPI specification. I went ahead and Arvind, I took yours and I just uploaded this here to the APIs part. I think it's a good one to start with. Sometimes the comments, we could have changed them, but I think from a perspective of starting this is quite good. This is a YAML file that where you're configuring this, and how you build this is basically you're going into Swagger. There's an editor for this, where you then on the left side you can configure basically this YAML file, and on the right side you have your documentation, how your API actually looks. So in this case, we were talking about writing an API for energy data, where the right here gets the information for everything. This is universal right for energy data and for weather data. And then we were talking about, okay, we're also going to do two methods for writing the energy data, and one for just writing the temperature, the environmental data, the weather data. And then we also defined a get method here, how you can actually get the data out, so that you define a house ID, and then you get a JSON with all the data. This is very important, something like that. I started learning creating APIs actually with this. If you go there fresh, Swagger editor. So if I open this in an incognito window, this actually has like a pet store, for example, where you can click through and you can actually see here the, let's convert this to YAML, where you can see the source code for this. And you can basically learn from this. It's very cool. It's very, very handy. It's also something that is very useful for the developer or for the client. Or for the client that is actually using your API, because the developer can go in, can actually look at your documentation, can look, okay, if I do here a write energy, what is this? How do I access this method? What is actually expected to be sent in? And in this case, we just define the codes to that this will get back. So this will return to either 200 or 400 or 500. And this way you very easily know how to actually use the API. You can write here more text to this if it's more complicated. Or you can define a get request where you say, okay, this is the house ID with that needs to go in. You put this into the actual URL. So you would query get data /house ID 1 or house 1, depending on how you define this ID. and then you will get back 200 this year. So it's pretty simple, pretty handy to actually generate this, and this is a great way of learning how to use APIs. And the goal is now, and Arvind, maybe you can say if you have already tried it, then you would download the YAML file and you would just put this then in here into the upload spec, and then you can actually generate this in your API gateway. Is it called API gateway?
Yeah, Google Cloud API.
Google Cloud API. Yeah.
Everything is so generic in Google. It's an API after everything. Like they call everything an API.
Yeah.
Is it similar in other cloud platforms as well, where you can just upload the YAML file?
I'm not actually sure if it's. I think in Azure as well. I haven't seen this for AWS. Most likely, it's also possible. I don't know. But did that work?
I see an API gateway thing on AWS here.
Yeah.
Let me see if I posted in the chat. I don't know if you guys can see it.
Yeah, exactly. That's the API gateway that I also used in the AWS course, where I configured the APIs. But I'm not sure. I configured them manually. I don't know if I'm guessing they also can do it like that. You define this. But did you have the time to do this already, Arvind?
So not yet. I was planning on doing that after our call today.
Okay, cool. Any questions around that? No?
It's very handy, actually. I didn't know about the editor.
This editor is online. You can even download this as a Docker container, and you can run this Docker container, for instance, on your machine or somewhere in your network, and just do this locally. The cool thing with this is that you can actually generate a server here then. So once you've defined this, and let's say you have a Python Flask server, or you have a Java Spring framework or something, this can actually then generate you that data. So this, if you click here Python Flask, this will download this here. Let's open the zip file. And then this has already then all the stuff that you actually need to run this with the models and the controllers and everything. So this already can generate you this this frame of your API, where you then just have to go in and have to just generate the logic, and that's it. So it's pretty cool. I love it. I also prototype with this because it's so nice to use.